Excel Toronto Meetup group. We are in February and today, 2025, and today we have our Excel Essentials series session with Mike Thomas today from the UK. He will be teaching us about the filter function, which is one of my favorite functions. Just before I pass on the stage for Mike, let me just go through a couple of things. As you know, our meetup is our sessions. Oh, sorry about that. Our sessions are, did I miss my?
You've
I
lost
did.
your PowerPoint.
Sorry. Okay, where is it? There it is. As you know, our sessions are are uploaded to YouTube, and let me just grab. I need a tab here. Something that I forgot to do. Let me just scroll this over here. And so be mindful that we will be recording and uploading. If you stay during this presentation live, you are consenting that your participation might be part of the recording or anything we publish regarding our session. Welcome to all the new members. In particular, I know some people joined recently. And for those of you and to everyone who may not be aware yet, after the session, we put up our recording available on YouTube. We will be sending out an email with a link to the recording, any files that our presenter may share with us, or any other information we may have that might be useful to share at the moment. So stay tuned for that. This usually takes a couple of days, usually around the weekend is when we have the opportunity to send out that email. And then feel free to come back to our YouTube channel. We have tons and tons of content there. You can go back to the recordings and learn from there. Also, as a member on the Meetup app or the Meetup platform, you can access there's on the discussions area, there's an information there with a link where you can access all the exercise files that we sent out for the past sessions. Okay. My name is Celia Alves. For those of you who don't know me, I am a Microsoft Excel MVP for 5 years now. I've been running this meetup group almost for 6 years now. Grania joined us on our first session and ended up becoming part of the organizing team. All the work that we do here is volunteering work. Same goes to the presenters' work. So it's a privilege for us to take advantage, enjoy the knowledge, the time that all the presenters offer to us. If you have never presented, I can tell you it's a lot of work. Even if the presentation seems simple or the topic seems simple, a lot of work goes into and time goes into preparing the materials, preparing the presentation. So Mike, thank you so much for being with us today. I know how much effort it goes into it, and it will be helping so much people from today on. People can refer back to the recording as much as they want to. So let's go. Grania, do you want to say something? Sorry, I was skipping ahead.
No, I think you covered it. And I just want to say how much I enjoy being part of these sessions. They're always wonderful. So that's
Thank you.
And
Thank
I
you
know
for
this
for
one's
your
going to be
help.
good because Mike is great.
Yes.
Thank you.
We all our presenters are fabulous. I'm so grateful for all of them. So next session in February, we will still this month, because currently we are running 2 sessions a month on a testing basis, and then we will see next quarter how we will do it. Next session this month for the Excel Expanded series, we will have Steve Krynak with us. He's also an MVP and the former Microsoft Excel team member. So he was before working for the actual Excel product. He will be presenting about how we can customize our Excel files, different features and tools we have available in Excel that we can use to customize our files the way we want them to be, so that we don't have to spend time doing that repeatedly every time we need those either formatting or any other features that we want them to be always the same, so we can get our workbooks to be prepared to behave the way we want them to. The page is up. Remember to register if you haven't yet. We would love to have you with us in about 2 weeks. By the way, I still don't have it here, or the page I don't think is up yet, but we will have Shandip in March presenting about M Code. He just released the book. And in April, we will also have Bill Jelen, who also released the book recently on pivot tables, including Copilot. He will be presenting about pivot tables. And a couple more things. Stay tuned because we have more sessions on the pipe for you guys. Shout out to Sheetcast, our sponsor. Sheetcast is an add-in for Excel that allows us to create web applications from Excel. I just presented about their product at the Global Excel Summit, and I'm guessing that probably pretty soon I'll be presenting to you as well, so that you know how you can take advantage of this product. It's pretty awesome, and it solves some of the problems we face sometimes when we want to make Excel files available to multiple users, external users. It's a very creative and very disruptive product, I would say. Grania launched Women in Excel group. It is available on LinkedIn. Do you want to say something very quickly so that people know what it is about and how to join?
It's a group that 3 of us started last year. No, I lie. Mike also was in the room when we started that and was very much a part of the discussions. Mike Thomas, who is our guest today. And so he is our one gentleman member. Everyone else, it's women only, please. But we have had such wonderful time this last year with all the different things that we post up on LinkedIn, anything that we see that a woman has done that is worth celebrating, or if they've written a post that tells us something about Excel that we didn't know, ask questions. We have regular meetings. There's actually one coming up. Shoot, I posted about it today. I forget the exact
Alejandra?
date. Yes, it is Alejandra, but I think it's March. It's the Tuesday, the first Tuesday in March, whatever that is. And it'll be, that particular one will be popular for people in North America. It's be the middle of the night for those in the UK. So we have loads going on. It's a very supportive and helpful environment for women. So, and I see we have a fair few members in the chat that already. So if you would like to join us, I'll put the link in the chat in just a moment, and we'd love to have you. The people that have joined have had very positive feedback. So
yeah,
and we had a great week at the Global Excel Summit last week.
yes,
Just wonderful week.
yes. Thank you, Grania. What else? And then you will receive this deck, these slides deck, with all this information. There's a newsletter, there's Excel books recommended, there's a YouTube channel with all the content, my YouTube channel as well, and my blog. And so I will send this to you on my email with all these learning resources. And today we have Mike Thomas. Mike Thomas is a leading UK-based IT trainer and content creator, renowned for his expertise in Microsoft Office, particularly Excel and Power BI. Throughout his distinguished 35-year career, wow, Mike has delivered thousands of courses and produced an extensive library of written and video tutorials available on his blog and YouTube channel. As a Microsoft MVP and fellow of the Learning and Performance Institute, Mike has collaborated with numerous global and UK-based companies, providing tailored training and developing innovative Microsoft Office solutions that streamline business processes. His passion for teaching, knowledge sharing, and technology makes him a sought-after speaker and trainer, continually inspiring others to harness the full potential of Microsoft Office tools. And we will put in some links on the chat where you can find Mike's content. So as you see, and as I was mentioning before, we have the best speakers here for you guys, and Mike is extremely experienced trainer. He will be sharing a little bit of what he knows today, focusing on the filter function. Mike, what was it that I missed about you? Feel free to fill in the gaps, and yeah, the floor is yours.
Thank you. No, that was it.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
You're welcome. I won't introduce myself because Celia's just done it all. Okay, yeah, hello and welcome. I'm going to talk about the filter function today. If you do see my head moving from side to side, it's because I've got my camera right in front of me. I've got the Teams chat on one monitor and I've got my notes and my cheat sheet on the other. Okay, so filter function. It's relatively new. It's available in 365, 2021 and 2024. What does it do? At a simple level, you have a data set. So this is my data. It doesn't have to be in a table. This data is in a table, but it doesn't actually have to be in a table. It could just be a range. And it lets you make a copy of certain data based on criteria. And you can put that copy of the data either on the same sheet as the source data, which I've done here, or you can put it on a separate sheet. So let's say you're building a little dashboard. My source data is on this sheet, filter 1, but I've used the filter function to pull out some data. In this case, it's all the records where state is Alaska, and put them onto a separate sheet. I've just added these little text boxes here just to make it look a little bit more like a dashboard. I didn't have to put those in there. You can have multiple instances of the filter function on the same sheet as well. So I'm going to go through some of these examples and show you how I did it. And I'll probably want to zoom out a little bit so you can actually see more of the spreadsheet. Some of you might be familiar with the advanced filter feature in Excel. So under data, in the sort and filter section, you've got advanced, and that kind of allows you to do a similar thing. But to me, that's a little bit old school. It's a little bit clunky. It's a little bit limited in what it does. So I tend to describe the filter function. It's actually one of my favorites as well, Celia, like you said before. I tend to describe the filter function as advanced filter on steroids. So if I go back to the first tab, which is filter 1. So what I've got here is I've got some data. It is in a table. The table is called Sales 1. And over here, I've typed in the headings. I've actually copied and pasted the headings across into there. And I've set up a drop-down list there. And the drop-down list is getting its values from over here. And the idea is that you can choose an item from this drop-down list. You could type into G1. You don't have to have a drop-down list. And it will automatically take all the records from here and dump them into here. The formula itself is in that cell there, F4. So all the records are dumped to row 4 and below. So you can see as I'm changing the state, it's actually updating what's in here. So if we have a look at the formula, if I just double click on that cell, it's equals filter, and the first parameter is the array, which is basically the range you want it to look at. Now that could be an entire table, it could be one column from a table, two columns from a table, three columns from a table, or it could just be a range. So your data doesn't have to be in a table. Obviously, your life is easier if your data's in a table, but it doesn't have to be. So that is the first argument. That's the range you want it to look at. The second argument is the include. And it's basically, in this example, the state column of the sales one table equals that cell there. You don't have to use equals. You could have greater than, less than, and all those other operators that you can use for comparison. You don't have to have have it pointing to a cell. It can actually be some fixed text in there or fixed number hard coded, but that is the format. So it's this column equals this column is greater than this, etc., etc. If it wasn't in a table, I would have specified there C2 to C19 equals G1. The third argument is actually optional, and that is used if there are no records returned. So if let's say if I hadn't put a drop-down list in and I typed in there and it actually brought nothing back, what you get by default is hash calc. So hash calc looks a little bit ugly, a little bit scary to someone who's not so familiar with Excel. So as an option, you've got this third optional argument where you can specify what you want it to say instead. So that's the basic principle of the filter function. I'll actually delete that and type it in from scratch. I mean, I'm guessing I don't need to sit here and type too many formulas in. So that's why I've got stuff pre-prepared and I can just show you the formula I've typed in, or I'm probably for some of them, I'll copy and paste them across from my notes, but I will just do one of them. So equals filter, open brackets. The array is going to be the whole table, which is sales one, comma, the include is going to be sales one, square brackets, and then choose state, close square brackets, equals, and I want it to equal what's in G1. So as I said, you can get away with just that. And as you change these, it will update automatically. So it is dynamic, but then it's a dynamic array function, so it would be. But just for completeness, although in this case I'm never going to see calc because I've got a drop-down list to choose from, I'm just going to put something like no records. So that's our third optional argument. So that's the basics of it. I'm just having a look to see if there's any questions. Okay. So let's go on and have a look at the next option. In fact, the next option is pretty much the same. In fact, it's almost identical. The only difference is that we're referencing B1, and this one was where I had the table name and the column name, and the table was on a different sheet. So I just wanted to show you that you can have your data on a different sheet to the filter function, as opposed to the advanced filter where you couldn't do that on a separate sheet. You couldn't have your data on one sheet and your result on another sheet. Another benefit is that you can create multiple filter functions that reference the same data set, and those filter functions can be on the same sheet. So here I've got a table. I think it's a table. Yes, it's a table. It's called sales 2. And I've got a formula in this cell, which is applying a filter to sales 2, where the state column is G1. and G1 is Alaska, and I haven't got a drop down list there because that's a fixed value. So here we always want to see the records for Alaska. This one is the same, except it's pointing at G9, and this one is the same, except it's pointing at G14. So the idea here would be that we want to be able to see a block for every state. I've just done it for 3 states. Oh no, I've done it for 4 states. But you know, if you had 10 states, it would just be rinse and repeat. Actually, here I can show you, if I blank out Alaska, there is an example of seeing no records for the selected state. And if I didn't have that third argument in there, that's when you see the hash calc. If it can't return anything, or if I put something in there that it didn't recognize, because there's no records for AAA state. Let's just undo that. Okay, now, oh, the results can be on different sheets with the advanced filter. Why did I think they had to be on the same sheet? Okay, I stand corrected. Learn something every day. It's a long time since I've used the advanced filter. Okay, so let's say I add in a couple of extra records into here, into the source data, because this is a table and the filter function is referencing the table, then it's automatically going to update. So if I added, I'm just going to literally copy and paste those 2 rows, so the table should extend. I now get a spill error. And I get a spill error because there literally is not enough room for it to display all the records, because I deliberately added 2 records for Alaska. So what that tells me is that if I am going to have multiple filters on the same sheet, I should leave a load of gaps between them, or I should have them going across. So don't just leave 1 or 2 rows between each section, because you've got to hit the spill error. Okay, if people aren't familiar with the spill error, I'm guessing many people are, but if you're not, it's where you have a function that spills its values, its results, from the cell that it's in down as many rows as it needs, and if it hits a roadblock, if you like, then it can't continue spilling the results, so you get this spill error. Okay, so I'm just going to undo that. So that is showing you that you can have multiple filters in the same sheet. Okay, so was there a question? Isn't there a spill problem example? Replace Delaware with Alaska. Yeah. Okay, that's what I was just showing.
Those attentive students who
yeah.
come ahead of the teacher.
Okay, so here's another example of where you might want to have multiple filters within the same sheet. So these are the teams that played in the 2022 Men's Soccer World Cup, and these are the groups that each team was in. And I've got a little table which I've called World Cup, and what I want to do is I want to automatically split the teams into the relevant groups. So I'm going to go to F2, and I'm going to put equals filter, open brackets, the name of the table, which is World Cup, but actually I'm only interested in pulling across the data from the team column. So I don't have to include the whole table. I'm going to do World Cup, square brackets, double click team, close square brackets. So that's my array. That's the range I want it to filter. The second argument is what I want to include, which is going to be World Cup, square brackets, group, close square brackets, equals that cell there. Okay, so I'm picking up the value from the cell directly above. And once I've done that, I can just copy and paste and paste and paste, paste and paste and paste and paste. And there we go. It's a lot faster than trying to do it manually. On a similar vein, this is for anybody who's trying to organise a party or a dinner and create a table plan. So I have all of the people who are attending this meal. Could be a Christmas meal, or it could be a wedding or a birthday party, whatever it is. And I put the names down there in column A, and the table is called dinner. And I've put what table each person is on in column B. So what I want to do there is I want to put filter, open brackets, the array is dinner, square brackets, name. So that's the column that contains the data to be filtered. And what I want to include is only the records where dinner, square brackets, table equals, and I just want to pick the rightmost character from that cell there, etc., etc. So I use the right function and select F1. And if I want to be pedantic, I put comma 1, but of course the right function defaults to 1 if you don't put the second argument in. What have I missed? I missed a closing bracket. There we go. So then copy, paste, 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 etc., etc. So let's imagine that that Beverly comes to you and says, I don't want to sit on the same table as Cindy. We don't get on. So what we'll do is we'll move Claire to B, and we'll put Beverly on D. So automatically, as you change the tables, it automatically updates those. Okay, so that's something that you can use when you're next organising a dinner. Okay, next one. Do we have any questions? No particular questions, just comments in the chat. Okay.
There's comments with other ideas what you could use that for besides dinner.
Excellent. Excellent.
So departments, yeah. And
employees by department. Yeah, there's another good one. Yeah, hope people are finding this useful as well. You know, even if you are familiar with it, it's always good for a refresher. Okay, what I want to do here is I want to get a list of the credits and a list of the debits. So these are all the transactions for a company on a particular day, and the details are in a table called transactions. So I want to pull out all the credits, but I'm only interested in the date and the amount. So I'll start off with a basic filter. So filter transactions. There's a couple of ways I could do this. I could do transactions and then I could do the date and the amount, but I'm actually just going to say transactions because I want to show you something else. So I'm referring to the whole table. And then the include is going to be where transactions, square brackets, amount. No, it's not. It's going to be the credits, isn't it? So square brackets, type. Oh, what's happened there? Should we do that again? Square brackets, type. That's better. Equals CR. So that pulls out all the credits. Now, problem with that is it's given us all three columns. And I'm only interested in the first column and the second column. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to wrap the whole filter function inside the CHOOSECOLS function. For anyone who doesn't know the CHOOSECOLS function, it allows you to reference a range or a table and choose to retrieve certain columns from that table based on a number. So in this case, it's going to be 1 and 2. So I'll put CHOOSECOLS, put the open bracket in. The first argument in CHOOSECOLS is the array, which is the range that you want it to look at. Now, I don't want it to look back at the actual table. I want it to look at the filtered version of that table just for the type equals CR. So the array is actually the filter function. So I can leave that there, comma. We're now into the second argument and the third argument and subsequent arguments of the CHOOSECOLS function. So in this case, it's going to be 1, 2, because I want to retrieve the first and second columns from that filtered range. And that's it. So that has now just given us the first and second columns. So I've combined CHOOSECOLS with filter. And then to get the debits, all I need to do is copy that formula, paste it in here, and change the CR to DR. And I now have a list of credits and debits separated into 2 lists. Okay. So, yeah.
We do have a few questions that have been answered in the chat, but in case anybody didn't read it, Aurora's asking, can the second argument be a complex condition like type equals credit and amount is greater than 100,000? Yeah. And then there's answers as to how you might do that.
Yeah, I'm going to come on to that in a second. With the somebody's put the asterisk and the plus. Yeah.
So we're getting ahead.
As always. Split kids by naughty and nice list at Christmas. Yeah, that's a good one, Owen. I'm sure I've seen a video that someone's done on that somewhere. Okay, this one I want the 3 highest credits. So again, I have a list. It's a table. It's called transactions 1, and I want the 3 highest credits. So to save a bit of time, I'm going to actually just copy this formula across from my notes and talk through it. So what I've done here is I've used, let me put my equals in there and just zoom out a bit. I've used CHOOSEROWS along with the filter. So you've got CHOOSECOLUMNS, which chooses columns, and you've got CHOOSEROWS. So CHOOSEROWS chooses a number of rows from either a table or, in this case, a filtered version of the table. So that's my filter function. So I'm filtering transactions 1 and just filtering and this time I'm actually just filtering transactions 1 amount. So I'm just looking at the amount column rather than the whole table, where transactions 1 type equals CR, and I've told it to choose the first 3 rows. So that's the CHOOSEROWS function. That is what I want it to look at. So that's the array, and I want it to use rows 1, 2, and 3. The problem with that is it's not the 3 highest credits. What it's done is literally looked at this data, this table, and it's picked that one, and that one. And I should have formatted that cell. Could do that now, can't I? Just to be pedantic. It's literally just picked the first 3. So I've got 2 options. I could sort that range manually based on the amount column, and then it would work, or I can use the sort function with that. So again, to save a bit of time, I'm just going to copy the formula across rather than typing it in and boring you all with my typos. So I'm still using CHOOSEROWS. I'm still picking the first 3 rows, but what I'm actually picking the rows from is the sorted version of the filtered data. And as I always say to people, if you've got multiple formulas, multiple functions, work from the middle outwards. So it's applying a filter by taking what's in the amount column, only returning the ones where the type is CR, and the 1 is for the sort, so that's the sort by the first column. The -1 is sort into descending order. And now we haven't had to touch the order of that, but we do get the top 3 values that are just credits. The other way you can do that is with the take function. Okay, so you can either use the CHOOSEROWS function or you can use the take function. They're almost the same. We've still got sort the filtered data, but what the take function does is it tells it to then take the first X number of rows, and I've said 3. So take the first 3 rows from that array. We get exactly the same result. So there's 2 ways to do it. CHOOSEROWS, where you have to type in the numbers 1, 2, and 3, or take, where you can just specify the number of rows from the top that you want to extract.
Mike,
everyone, yeah.
There's also another suggestion by Laco. He is also he comes up with another solution using the value greater than or equal to large.
Yeah.
Using the large function.
Yeah,
that's another one.
That.
And that one is good for those who don't have Microsoft 365 or a version that supports take and CHOOSECOLS. So that's a good one as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Laco.
Owen's come up with another one as well. So
Alves, not sure if I'm saying it correctly. He's the first name. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's what I thought, Owen. If they don't have take, they won't have filter. Because it's all 365, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, let's go on to another example. So this is 7. So this is the multiple criteria that somebody asked about before. So for this one, I've got my data again in a table, sales 3, and I want to display information. I'm keeping this simpler, so I'm not doing any takes. I'm not doing any CHOOSECOLS. So it's all the columns. But here I want what are called the premium flavors. So the company has decided that anything that is, if I put sales or toffee, that should be chocolate or toffee, I think. Yeah, chocolate or toffee. Okay, that was me getting myself confused. But yeah, anything that's chocolate or toffee is a premium flavor. Anything else is a standard flavor. So this company, for marketing purposes, are splitting their products into 2 different types. So again, I'll just copy the formula across and then talk through it. I think it's the easiest way to do it. So this is using the plus sign. Okay, the plus sign is where you've got an or, a logical or. The asterisk is a logical and. I think somebody mentioned that in the chat earlier. So it's applying a filter. It's applying a filter to the table called sales 3, and then each criteria goes inside its own set of parentheses with a plus sign between them. So that closing parentheses there, it's easy to say brackets, the closing parentheses there matches the open one there for the filter function, but each criteria is in its own set of brackets. So flavor equals chocolate plus flavor equals toffee. So that's a logical or, and there we go. You could use the sort function on that as well if you wanted to sort it into amount order or even into flavor order, so that all the chocolates are first and the toffees are next. If you don't use that, then the order that they're displayed is just the order they're found in there. And if I do the other one, just copy that across. Do it in here. There we go. So very, very similar. Again, it's using a plus, but this is using the not. So that's what we're filtering. And this is our include statement or our criteria. So it's where the flavor does not equal chocolate or toffee. And it doesn't like the double quotes that I've copied across. It's going to fail if I don't do that. There we go. Okay. So that's your logical or. Let's have a look at logical and, which I think is what somebody asked about in the chat. With a logical and, you use the asterisk. Okay, so the table here is called sales for. Shouldn't have all these things in there. It's because of how I've copied it across. So it's going to apply a filter to sales for, and it's going to be where the flavor equals vanilla and the amount is greater than 3,000. So I've just put these labels at the top to remind me of exactly what we're showing. So you can see that each criteria is in its own set of brackets, and we've used the asterisk between. Okay. I won't do the other ones. The other ones are just a variation on a theme, but I hope that answers the question that was asked before. So yes, you can have multiple criteria. Just use the asterisk for a logical and, or use the plus for a logical or. Okay, this is one that I made up not long before I actually started the session, which is why some of I'm jumping around over, across some of these sheets. But what I wanted to do here was have a list of car makes and have the car models, and I wanted to be able to type in a make. I could have a drop-down list, and it returns all of the models. So for that one, it was actually quite a simple one. Just going back to simplicity here. Apply a filter. I've not made this into a table. So apply a filter to that range there, B2 to B31, where A2 to A31 equals what's in E1. So that's just a basic example, but it means that you can just pull through all of the models that match that particular make. So if I change that to Ford, it automatically pulls that information through. Okay. I've done that one, haven't I? Okay, so I'm going to save that, and I've got another file to show you. How are we doing? Everyone okay? Don't think there's any particular questions apart from Owen showing off, putting some complex stuff in the chat. Okay, so what I've got here is I've got 6 sheets and a summary sheet. Now, what I've done here is I have created tables. So this table is called TBL Jan. This table is called TBL Feb, etc., etc. So Jan, Feb, March, April, May, and June. And here I want a summary. Now, I've deliberately left a blank row in the Feb table. I know in the real world you probably wouldn't, but it can happen. And we don't have any data yet for April, May, and June. So what I've done on this summary sheet is I've used the VSTACK function. For anyone who's not familiar with VSTACK, it lets you vertically stack either tables or ranges on top of each other. So it's a great quick way to generate like a big list from several separate lists. So I'm just saying stack vertically Jan, Feb, March, etc. That's exactly what it's done. So because we had a blank row in Feb, it's given us a load of zeros. And that is a blank row from April, May, and June. If you're wondering where the blank row has come from for April, May, and June, it's because a table has a minimum of 2 rows. It has the header row and the data row. So it's taken that row and that row and that row. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine the filter function with the VSTACK function. And again, rather than typing in a long function and wasting everybody's time as I make typos, I'm just going to copy and paste it in and then talk through it. So we're saying apply a filter. We're not applying the filter to one particular table. We're actually applying the filter to the combined set of data. So that is our array that we are filtering. And then the include statement is saying where the order ID for January, February, March, April, May, June is not equal to blank. So I'm using a second VSTACK function as the include statement and saying where it's not equal to blank. I've picked the order ID simply because it's the first column. So if I then press enter, that is what we get. Now there is another way I could have done that. I'll just put that back in case anybody is, making notes or anything like that. I actually had to do this for real not long ago. I had 12 months of the year and I needed to combine all the data together into one big list, but we were only partway through the year at the time. So I thought that was a good example. And yeah, the last example to show you is just a variation on this one. So if I just edit this, what I've done here is I've told it to filter, and I've told it to filter the stacked version of Jan to June, A6 to G50. So because the sheets are going from Jan through to June, we can reference it using this notation: first sheet, colon, last sheet, exclamation point, and then arrange. Now, the reason I've said A6 to G50 is because they all start on A6, and I've left enough rows for growth, as it were. Okay, now obviously we're not going to have growth. If we are in March now, we're not going to have any more orders in January, February, and March. But thinking about April, May, and June, I'm estimating that we're going to have no more than 45 rows of data. So what I've done is I've allowed for that. So you have to specify the same range on each sheet. Why couldn't I just use the table names? Because for some reason, this notation doesn't play nicely with tables. So you have to use a fixed range, unfortunately. But it's the same concept as before. That is the range to be filtered. That is the criteria. But I've used column A instead of order ID. So that's just another way of doing the same thing. And that is it. That is the filter function. I'm sure there are many, 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 many more examples of filter function. I'm sure some of you who are in the chat have come across your own scenarios with filter, but I just wanted to take some time and go through a number of different scenarios with it. So I hope that's been useful. I'll now have a look at the questions.
Thank you, Mike. Yes, I think it's useful. I really have, since I understood and learned this function, there's uses for it all the time. And it can become complex when you need to deal with multiple criteria. But once you get the hang of it, yeah, you keep using it for multiple scenarios. There's a thank you there, Aloj, Owen, saying that you can also apply filters horizontally to filter columns as well as rows, but not at the same time. So you can go, if you have happened to have your data across in columns instead of down rows.
Yeah.
Similar to, not similar, but kind of the same reasoning with VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, right?
Yeah. Okay, I'm just having a look at the thing about 3D references. Can 3D references use table names in them? No, they can't. They can't, and that's the reason that I had to use non-table references. I did try to use table references, I'm pretty sure, but it didn't allow it. And then there's the question. Oh, the question that you've put there. So you've answered it. Thanks, Celia. Yeah. You can't have the same table name in all sheets, because it's, well, theoretically it does allow you to have multiple tables with the same name, as long as you set the table scope to be worksheet and not workbook, but it would get incredibly messy. So
yeah, I don't know. I never tried that. I'm not sure if it allows you to change the scope of a table name. But if you create new names, like range names instead of table names, then that would work, I guess, if you set them.
I've never tried it.
Yeah,
Never tried it,
although
but
I'm not sure. Yeah, that should work. We could try that later
this was
on our own.
this was the solution I came up with when I was doing it for real. I was banging my head against the wall until I found a video that explained that you had to do it this way. I was trying to do it with tables, and it just wouldn't work. There you go. Okay. Oh, there's a few nice thank yous. Thank you, everybody.
Aurora was saying at the beginning of the session that she was curious about filter because I think it was Aurora. She has not had the chance of using it much. She's using VBA and other stuff. I wonder if she's looking forward to use filter now. Let us know. Yeah, Jeff is thanking you as well. A lot of thank yous.
Oh, yes, Aurora is looking to replace VBA. Thank you. Good one. So you have a convert there, Mike.
Excellent. Excellent.
Okay.
And we're getting some lovely comments.
Feel free to turn on your videos and mics if you prefer, instead of typing in a question or a comment. We can still stay for a couple more minutes, so feel free to do that. Well, there's Yvette as well. Thanking you. You're welcome. All
Mike,
right.
I do have one question for you. Mike?
Yeah.
It's Grania. So on the one where you did a filter and it was not a table, could you explain to people why that's not a great idea if you have the option?
Yeah. So let me close this down. It was this one, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, simply because if I go and edit that, simply because if I add more rows of data, if this isn't a table, then it's not going to include that extra row. So if I put, for example, XXX, YYY, because I'm not into my cars, so I can't think of one off the top of my head. If I then edit that, you can see that that is still referencing row 31, 2 to 31, and I've got data on row 32. So if you had your data as a table, You know, you just go to that and press Control T and turn it into a table, and then you reference the table in the formula instead of a fixed range. Then as you add more rows of data here, then they will automatically be included in the filter function.
Yeah. The other way would, if you want to account for that, then of course people could reference entire columns. Before Owen is suggesting the TRIMRANGE function, of course, there is a new function that allows us to deal with that type of scenario. Before TRIMRANGE, we would have to go and do filter, apply a couple of filters or apply a couple of conditions to say filter the entire column, but then where the column is not blank and the other column is whatever the brand or the make or something like that. So we would have to apply multiple criteria, but now with TRIMRANGE, we can use it like a nesting filter inside it.
It's bad practice to reference the entire column, isn't it? I mean, if you did something like B colon B and then A colon A, it still works. Oops. Yeah, but you know, it can slow things down because Excel's got to look down the whole column.
Yeah.
So like you say, TRIMRANGE to the rescue, Owen. But like you also say, table is best practice. But it's amazing the number of people that don't use tables, don't understand tables. I trained a group last week, and it took me ages to convert somebody into being a table fan. I think his confusion is where you have column name, square brackets, table name. For somebody who's been an A1 plus A2 person for years to suddenly start having to reference, you know, structured references, takes a little bit of time. I think I converted him in the end with all the other benefits that you get with a table.
Yeah. Although sometimes I've come across some scenarios where it's just the data comes like that, and then it may be easier to now, especially now that we have TRIMRANGE and the other notation to deal with cutting entire columns to match whatever rows are filled in. It may be a good solution. So instead of you having to be converting ranges to tables all the time.
Is TRIMRANGE in the current channel? Is it still in beta?
I think it is. Not totally sure, but I think it is. Oh, let me see. I have this machine I'm using. I have current channel, so I can check that.
Somebody's asking what.
Yeah, I have current
TRIMRANGE is.
Okay,
I'll be honest.
I'll be honest.
I can't remember the exact syntax for it. Is it TRIMRANGE and you specify the whole column, or you can specify like A1 to A500?
I believe so. And then it will trim empty cells before and after the data.
Yeah. Owen's just put it in the chat what it does. Basically, if I put like TRIMRANGE A to A, instead of it looking at a million rows, it will only look at everything from the first row with data in it to the last row with data in it, which is like 32 cells. So it means that it's only looking at I think you said it, the used cells in the range, as you say, Owen. Yeah, it's a new function.
Yeah.
I thought it was still in beta.
And in that case, I'm thinking for the filter to work properly, we need to make sure there's the same number that there's the same number of data in the two columns. Because that's okay. I was going to say, at least that they start and the two columns that we are using, one to filter, the other one for criteria, they need to start and end in the same row. Otherwise, we can get messed up results.
You get an error.
Yeah.
You get an error. Like I put 2 to 31 and then 2 to 32. you're going to get an error.
Yeah, or messed up results. I'm not sure what would work.
Yeah.
What would produce. So Aurora is asking a question. Filter can be used only within the same workbook? Yes. Cannot use filter data in another file. I haven't tried.
I haven't tried. I'm guessing you could. I'm guessing you could. Okay.
Or maybe not. I'm not sure. I know that some of the new functions, they are not good at referencing external files, but I haven't tried either. So,
well, no surprise here. Owen says you can filter another file, but the file must be open.
Yeah, that's how these, for example,
Yeah.
XLOOKUP, I believe, also works like that. I think, yeah, the file needs to be open to.
I think he memorized the entire Excel,
Yeah.
owner's manual or whatever that is. That the rest of us had to think.
Okay. Anything else?
Oh, he
spent
just
too much time making mistakes.
mistakes.
I think we all do that.
And but the Owen has the advantage that he learns from his own mistakes very quickly.
Yeah.
Faster than the average of us.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Before we close our session for today, it was a very productive and fun session. Thank you, Mike, and thank you
You're
everyone
welcome.
for participating in the
I'll
chat,
stop
asking
sharing.
questions, helping each other. It was really fun.
Yeah, it was really good. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
I enjoyed that a lot. And but judging by the comments, so did our audience.
Good, good.
Yeah. Excellent teacher. I need a
Thank
class
you.
on teaching classes.
Yeah, Mike has all these decades of teaching, so that's what happens with practice, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, you make it look easy because you just step through it like a level at a time.
That's what it needs. That's what it needs.
Yeah. No. Great. Great. Very interesting session and really good topic because it's so much you can do with filter.
Owen's gone back to the gym probably now.
He's finished at the gym.
Yeah.
Okay, if there aren't any more questions, I'm going to stop the recording. Feel free to stay around for a couple more minutes if you want to. Another thank you there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us live. It's always so much more interesting to run a session where people are attending and are asking questions. Remember the next session coming. Feel free to join us there as well. It will be a very fun one as well. And I'm looking forward to that session because I know I'll be learning a couple of things as always. Okay, stop recording.
And we'll be announcing the next